2 hours northwest of Baffin Island, the scenery changes dramatically. Located closer to the Arctic Circle, Igloolik is a small island in Foxe Basin, home to around 2,000 Inuit. For most of the year, the shallow basin surrounding the island is blocked by ice floes, chunks of frozen seawater that float on the surface. But underneath, its cold, nutrient-rich waters provide the perfect breeding ground for Arctic wildlife.
Well, I've made it. I am now 3 degrees north of the Arctic Circle. The journey up here was quite a long one, but the journey I'm about to make today may be even more memorable. As a naturalist, the opportunity of coming up here and going out on the water and witnessing some of the incredible Arctic wildlife, maybe even polar bears, is just going to be a unique experience. So maybe today I have the trip of a lifetime.
I've donned a fetching orange float suit and joined a group going out on the frozen seas.
So these ice floes are a good place to look for polar bears?
Yeah, they're really good platforms for polar bears, whether they're catching a ride and snoozing behind a chunk of ice or they're actually looking for seal. Seals will haul up on this ice and therefore it's good hunting ground still.
Yeah, but the ice is the same colour as polar bears, though. It's got that sort of browny tinge to it.
Yeah, it's dirty ice. It's been attached to shore. It's loosening up because the ice is thawing for the summer. And therefore it's the same colour as polar bears.
Have to look really carefully.
Yeah, just look for movement.
And it didn't take long.
Straight ahead, polar bear. Polar bear.
No way.
9 o'clock.
Oh my God.
He's getting up.
I can see it.
He's definitely got our scent. Notice the wind is drifting towards the polar bear, therefore our scent is drifting towards the bear, getting information that they have the strongest sense of smell. It's been recorded, they can smell seal pups buried under the ice, they can smell and track.
I knew about that one, yeah. Well, I suppose you've got to have a keen sense of smell in an environment like this out here.
He is in really good condition, he's got a good belly.
He's got a very
rounded,
fat belly, hasn't he?
Yeah, very rounded in the rump. He spent the winter feeding on seal. If we were closer, not that we'd want to be too much closer, you would notice how silent he is walking. Yeah. He doesn't make a sound, he or she. They have to be so quiet and so stealth-like because of what they're hunting and how difficult it is to catch seal. Do you know the beautiful thing is this is their environment. It's not a zoo, it's not contrived, it's completely where they belong.
It's my first polar bear, and that is just
what a beauty.
best sight we could have had today.
Looking around this breathtaking environment, it's hard to imagine that there's a dark force lurking beneath the surface, threatening to destroy this magnificent wilderness. The effect of climate change is increasing temperatures here faster than anywhere else on the planet, and experts have predicted that if we continue hacking down our forests and burning the world's resources, the Arctic will have melted completely within the next 50 years.
It seems to me that the environment here is very fragile, am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the most pristine and one of the most fragile environments in the world. And currently we see it. We really see it because you see much less ice now. The climate change is actually causing the much faster melting of ice. And the temperature in the Arctic is growing actually 2 degrees higher than anywhere else on the Earth.
And how is climate change affecting some of the wildlife species that live here?
Very much in terms of habitats, losing habitats. There are many ice-dependent species here. So actually retreating melting ice leaves them without place to live. Some of them, they give birth to their babies actually on ice. They hunt next to the ice or from the ice. So if ice is retreating, and actually the period of ice-free sea is longer now, and they concentrate onshore and much bigger numbers, which makes them, say, more fragile in terms of poachers coming or hunters coming, as well as actually like walruses, for example. If they accumulate in big numbers and then suddenly somebody disturbs this population, in a panic, they're jumping back into the water and they can kill many, especially younger ones. So most of them are affected.
And what about the impact of tourism?
The number of tourists is growing every year, including actually cruise ships. Bigger and bigger cruise ships coming to the Arctic. There's much more people. And not really sure that all of them are really follow some kind of ethical practice. They need to follow some guidelines or rules in this fragile environment related to actually how to look and watch wildlife, to be actually quiet and not to disturb them, how to deal with the waste, ensure that part of the benefits coming from tourism, coming to communities directly, or actually helping them to provide for some kind of conservation activities and sustain their traditional lifestyle. You should pay much more attention to, say, educational part of it, and teach people and tell them how fragile is Arctic, how climate change is actually active in the Arctic, and what could be the consequences of climate change and changing Arctic to the rest of the world.
I still can't quite believe that I am on top of the world. It's every bit as breathtaking and as exquisite as I imagined it would be. And the wildlife has been the ultimate thrill for me. I can safely say, without cliché, that this has been the trip of a lifetime. But it may take only a lifetime for the Arctic to be changed forever with global consequences. I've experienced firsthand the Arctic environment and the lives of the people who live here and the fragility of them both. And I feel I understand more the very real responsibility we all have to preserve them.
If you'd like to find out more about Nunavut and its attractions, check out nunavuttourism.com and canada.travel. To arrange your own trip, visit aircanada.com. And for more information on the programme, the address is travelchanneltv.com.
The best thing about Nunavut was definitely the wildlife and seeing a polar bear for the very first time. The worst thing about Nunavut is that here climate change is a reality. My top tip for visiting Nunavut is that it's really difficult to travel independently around here, so consider coming with an organised group.